Father, as your children, we say thank you for the day that you've given us. Father, we thank you for your word on tonight. Thank you that you speak to us as your children. That as we hear your word, we can grow stronger by it, oh Lord, as long as we choose to obey what you're saying. Holy Spirit, we welcome you tonight. I ask that you speak through me to your people, and we thank you. All right, let's turn to Genesis chapter 37. Genesis chapter 37, and we're going to start at verse number 2. Genesis chapter 37, and we start at verse number 2. All right, so one thing we're going to understand tonight is why it's so important, it's so imperative that we continue on the course that the Most High has put us on and not deviate. You know, many times, there's a slogan that says, stay the course. You guys heard of that before, right? Stay the course. And sometimes that's something that's very easy to say. Stay the course, stay the course. You know, it sounds highly inspirational, highly motivational. But I tell you this, more than inspirational and motivational is something that the Most High requires us to do. We have to stay on the course and on the pathway that he has placed us on. And not only that we have to stay on that course, but we have to trust the Most High. And you know, many times what the Most High does is he speaks to you very plainly, very simply. This is it. But you ever realize how different the courses of your life, different situations in your life, they always speaking. Every day, constantly saying this. And the Most High, he answers questions that you may have, concerns that you may have. Just be at peace. Just rejoice. Just trust me. But situations, always wanting to talk. Always wanting to talk. And when I say talk, what I'm saying is many times you'll find that you have lots of adversity. It'll be this thing and this thing coming up. But the Most High, he always answers you real simply. Just trust me. All right, so we're at Genesis chapter 37 and verse 2. It says this, these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. So right here, as we look at this lad at the time named Joseph, one thing we find is what his character is like. You see, Joseph, he's different from his brothers, very different. And what Joseph does is he sees his brother and he reports back to his fathers what they're doing. And notice the Bible says it was what? It was what? Evil, right? Now, what we would a lot of times associate that with is he's a snitch or he's a rat. You know, he ratting us out. He snitches us out. But one thing about the Most High is this. He said, it's a righteous man. This is a holy man. Even at a young age, children. Even at a young age, what is Joseph doing? No, he's distinguishing between what is right and what is wrong. And you notice he's not participating with his brothers in doing these evil things. He's telling his brother, he's telling his father, look, this is what my brothers are doing. This is what my brothers are doing. And that right there shows you one thing about staying the course. Before Joseph knew a lot of the details in his life, it begins to describe what kind of man he was, what kind of person he was. He was righteous. He had integrity. He knew how to choose between what's right and what's wrong. what the Most High says I should do and what the Most High says I should not do. All right, let's look at verse 3. Now Israel is Joseph's father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they what? They hated him. Okay? And could not speak peaceably unto him. Now, as we begin to dissect and learn about the life of Joseph, one thing we find about him is he's a holy man. He's a righteous man. But not only that, but his brothers didn't like him. And I said that to say this. You know, many times what happens in the course of life, if you're not careful, you may look at a certain person in terms of where they are in life, and you say, well, that was easy for him. That was easy for you to get there because look at you. You don't know what I had to go through. Or that was easy for this person because, you know, they didn't have to go through or deal with what I had to deal with. But if you look at Joseph, look at this. His own brothers dislike him. Can you imagine every day in and day out, you're in the house with people that don't like you. As you go to sleep, you're around people that don't like you. As you're at the dinner table, constantly around people that dislike you. And see, one of the things that the Most High has been dealing with us as a people, and as he deals with us as his children, is getting over things from the past, over childhood hurts. Now, you understand that because his brothers disliked him, and this is not the only time the word makes reference to this, but because they disliked him, you know they said things that were not right to him. They said things that were spiteful to him. They said things that were evil against him. But remember the character of Joseph. He's one that is a righteous man, a holy man. But here's something he has to fight through. My own brothers don't even like me. My own brothers don't even approve of me, and all I'm doing is the right thing. Now, what many would do, even at this point, is say, you know what? It's not worth it. Nobody likes me. And what happens? Compromise. Nobody likes me. Nobody approves of me. So I guess all this living for the Lord stuff is just a waste of time. Look at where it gets me. People don't like me. But even Joseph, as I said before, even Joseph had things that he had to make sure he didn't hold on to. All right, let's keep going. Verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet what? The more. So after he had this dream, he shares it with his brothers, and it says they hated him the more. Verse 6. And he said unto him, hear, I pray you this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about and made obstinance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Now watch this. His brethren hated him, right? But look at why they hate him. Where did his dreams come from? The Most High. Where did these words come from? The Most High. You understand that as you choose to live righteously, and you choose to make stands for the Lord, that does not mean that your life will be easier. As we look at Joseph, we just kind of look, even in these early years, the course of development in his life. He's being hated, not because he did something wrong, but he's being hated just because of the promises that the Most High has placed over his life. Please understand this. As you choose to stand for the Lord, things will get harder. Yeah, you're going to get talked about. Yes, you're going to be disliked. But why is it? It's the enemy trying to take out and make you abort what the Most High has said to you. That's the whole goal. That's the whole purpose. Joseph's brothers did not dislike him just because his name is Joseph. No, it was the fact that they could see what Joseph was going to become. They could see it. They saw it. And for that one reason, you see how the enemy is attacking him. He's sending attacks to him. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. 10, verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that you hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy father, and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So again, what is Joseph dealing with? He's dealing with this promise. You know how many times those that the Most High has spoken to, promises over your life. Sometimes we don't realize that the promise over your life will cause you to be tested. The promises that's over your life, that's what's causing you to go through the things that you have to go through. And again, here's envy that he's dealing with. His brothers are dealing with against him. All because what the Most High has placed on the inside of him. And that's one thing that we have to remember, that because the Most High has called you, and because you have chosen to take a stand for the Most High, you made the decision, you know what, I'm going to do what the Most High said. Please understand that because of that one decision, you have made enemies. You have enemies. You have people that dislike you. Why? Because your spirit, which is the spirit of the Most High, and what's in them, it doesn't agree. It doesn't agree. And see, here's the thing. The Most High has made promises over everyone. Everyone has an opportunity to serve the Most High. But the issue is most won't accept it. Most will not accept the promises that the Most High has placed over them. So then they get jealous of someone who will. All right, but let's keep going. Verse 12. And his brother went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Okay, 13. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. 14. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out to the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? Now notice, where did the father send the brother? To where? Starts with an S. Shechem, right? Where did Joseph go? Shechem, right? But what did he find? Did he find his brothers there? No. Now watch this. Now remember the kind of person, the kind of character Joseph has. Joseph is a righteous man. He's a holy man. And what did he tell his father? Basically, he said, yes, sir, I'm going to go. You told me to go to Shechem I go. But watch this. The brothers weren't there. They weren't there. Now remember, as I was saying before, they could have served the Most High if they wanted to, but they chose not to. The father sent them to Shechem, but they were nowhere to be found. Why do you think Joseph's wandering around in the field? The brothers are out of place. Joseph is where he should be. The brothers are out of place, so now he's wandering around in the field. Watch this. 16. Verse 16. And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. 17. And man said, they are departed hence. For I heard them say, let us go where? Dothan. Who sent them there? They sent themselves there. Where did the father tell them to go? Shechem. But where did they go? Dothan, right? All right, let's keep going. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. They were in the wrong place for the wrong reason. Disobedience. Now, we can learn a lot even from there. The father said, go to Shechem, and they said, okay, I'm going to Dothan. And see, here's the thing that we got to understand as we choose to follow the Most High. If the Most High ever tell you something, he say go here, then you go where he tell you to go. If he send you in a certain place, go where he sends you. Make sure that the places the Most High send you, the things the Most High tell you to do, as we're going to find out, make sure you go. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast has devoured him. And we shall see what will become of his what? His dreams. Look at this. It had the reason why Joseph is in the situation he's in, the reason why he's hated is for one thing, his dreams. But where do the dreams come from? The Most High. And see, one thing that we got to be careful of is we don't sit here and get offended just because we get talked about. We don't sit here and get offended just because so-and-so doesn't like you or so-and-so talking about you and treating you in a way that you may not like to be treated. Because it's so much deeper than you as an individual. The reason why sometimes people treat you the way they do and the reason why a lot of times people may not like you is so much deeper than you as an individual. This was so much deeper than Joseph. It was all about the dream or the promises that the Most High had placed over his life. Now, remember once I told you before, I said, look, be careful that you don't look at your life and begin to compare it with somebody else's and say, well, if I had my life stacked like that, then I would be good too. Or if things in my life happen like things happen in yours, then I would be good too. Because remember this, we all have our own journey that we have to go through. So look at Joseph right here. All he's doing is walking up to his brothers, doing what his father told him to do. And already there's a plot to kill him. He ain't done nothing that he shouldn't have done. And already there's a plot to kill him. So just take time and think about what Joseph would have had to deal with. One thing may have been fear, knowing that the brothers didn't like him. So he had to, make sure that he didn't give in to fear. He had to make sure he didn't give in to unforgiveness for them disliking him. He had to make sure that he didn't give in to any kind of bitterness, that he didn't give in to any kind of hatred. These things sound familiar? Because these are all things that we as a people have to make sure we don't receive. Because like I said, just like what happened to Joseph happens to us today too, when we choose to follow the Most High. But the issue is this. We have to understand that it's so much deeper than you as an individual, but it's the promises that the Most High has placed in your life. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. 21. And Reuben heard him and delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph of his coat of many colors that was on him. All right, let's go down to verse 25. And they sat down to eat bread, and lifted their eyes, and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Galilee, with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh, and he is our and his brethren were content. All right. So what's happening here is that Joseph's brothers, they decide, okay, we're not going to kill him. We're going to throw him in the pit, and we're going to sell him to the Ishmaelites. And if you keep reading down, the Ishmaelites eventually sell him into Egypt. Now, again, just think about things that Joseph had to make sure he wasn't bound by. The unforgiveness, the betrayal. How could you do this to me? What did I ever do to you? And many times these questions begin to arise in our minds. Why does my life have to be this way? But I'm going to tell you this. If you follow the Most High, one thing you find out about your life is that your life has a promise on it. And your life is so much deeper than what you see physically. It's so much deeper and so much greater than what's ever been going on around you. But the thing is, you got to see it the way the Most High sees it. You can't see it just for face value. This is what happened. Because right here at this point, Joseph's brothers, they hating him and they sell him. Now remember this. Joseph had a promise over his life, right? He had a promise over his life. But watch this. It would seem as though, if Joseph were to look at it naturally, it would seem as though, this ain't never going to happen. How in the world, and I'm going to get from being a slave to being where the Lord told me I was going to be. Now I'm a slave down in Egypt. And again, these are things that Joseph had to make sure he didn't latch on to. How in the world is this ever going to happen for me? But you understand it works this way. Your life is so much greater and so much deeper than you as an individual. Your life is so much greater than what you think it is. And when the Lord, the Most High, puts promise on your life, his promise has to come to pass. But the key to it is this. It had nothing to do with the brothers. It had nothing to do with Egypt. It had everything to do with Joseph. Will you trust or will you not trust the Most High? Joseph, will you follow and stay the course or will you not? And that's the key to it. We as the Most High's children, we got to make sure, look, all that stuff that may have happened, let it go. All that stuff that may have been done and may have been said, let it go. Because here's the thing. We're going to find more deeper about Joseph. If he didn't let that go, and if he chose to be consumed with the things that happened in his life from a child on up, he wouldn't be able to stand when the Most High called him to stand. But let's keep going. So let's jump over to 39, chapter 39, verse 1. So at this time, again, Joseph, he's in Egypt, okay? Joseph's in Egypt. He was sold by his brothers, the Ishmaelites, and now he's here in Egypt. Verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And YAHSHUA was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And the master saw that YAHSHUA was with him, and that YAHSHUA had made all he did to prosper in Joseph's hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight and served him. And he was an overseer with his house and all that he had put into his hand. Now watch this. Where's Joseph? Egypt, right? What is he? Naturally, what is he? A slave. But what is he doing? He's serving his master, right? But watch this. You know how sometimes, you know how we say, okay, my steps are ordered. Steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Most High, right? Mm-hmm. But then we say, Sometimes we get to, whether it be a place of employment or just in a predicament we may find ourselves. And unlike Joseph, sometimes we get this attitude: well, I don't like what they're doing, so I'm not going to do a good job. I don't like this, I don't like that, so I'm going to kind of just barely get by, or I'm going to do just enough. I don't like what's going on right now, so I'm trying to get out of here. But we see Joseph, he's not doing any of these things. What is Joseph doing? He's serving his master, and not only that, he's prospering where he is. Now, how in the world would Joseph find favor as a slave unless he did his best? You don't find favor with your boss, and you don't find favor with others by slacking off. You do know that, right? You don't find favor by just barely getting by, right? You find favor with excellence. If I'm an employer, if I own this company, I'm usually going to favor someone that do what I ask them to do. They say what I ask them to say. They make me look good as the owner, right? And see, watch Joseph's character. Even at this time, as a slave, even at this time in bondage, he's still prospering. You see this? Even as a slave, naturally he's a slave, he's still prospering in the place that the Most High allowed him to be. But Joseph could have easily gotten his mindset: I hate my brothers, I hate my life, I hate this, I hate that, like many of us have been guilty of. I'm tired of this, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of being a slave, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss this, I just want out of here. But Joseph is faithfully serving. And not only that, the Most High is prospering him right where he is. Even as what we would call a slave, he's prospering him. And that's why I say, make sure you follow the course. And never ever look at your life as any worse than someone else's. Because what'll happen is you begin to miss what the Most High has promised. Because Joseph the whole time had to keep his mind focused. This is what the Most High called me to do. He called me to be a leader. Maybe I don't see it right now. Maybe it doesn't look like it right now. But this is what the Most High has said over me. I gotta stay focused. I gotta make sure I stay focused on what the Most High has called and told me to do. All right, let's keep on. All right. Verse 5. Verse 4. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. And all that he had, he put into his hand. And it came to pass, from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that YAHSHUA blessed, who? The Egyptian's house. For whose sake? Joseph's sake. And the blessing of YAHSHUA was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. You see this? So Joseph right now, even as a slave, he's being a blessing to other people. And like I said before, understand this. Your life, if you're following the Most High, is so much deeper than what you realize. But one thing we got to realize is this. It has nothing to do with what people are saying. It has nothing to do with what has happened before in your past. It has everything to do with, are you serving the Most High where you are now? And we got to make sure that wherever we are, that we're doing what the Most High told us to do, the way he told us to do it. All right, let's keep going. Verse 6, and he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and knew not aught he had, save the bread he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. All right. Verse 7, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And he said, lie with me. Verse 8, but he refused and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house. And he committed all that he had to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither have he kept back anything from me, but thee, because thou art his wife. And how can I do this great wickedness and sin against Yah? Now watch this. As I said before, look at his character. And see, these are things that we as a people, we face even today. Now he's dealing with lust. Making sure that, look, I don't give in to even the lust that comes against me. The perversion, I can't give in to none of that. And see, the Most High calls him what? A goodly man. Even in this, he's telling this lady, no, I can't do that. I can't, you don't belong to me and I don't belong to you. No. And so we even in looking at Joseph's life and understanding the course that the Most High has him on, these are all things that are valid even for today. Will you say no? Because you understand that throughout the course of your life, even as it happened to Joseph, the enemy is always trying to get you to abort what the Most High has for you. Always. Always trying to get you to say, you know what? I'm going to forfeit what the Most High has given to me so I can have what I want. But even in this, Joseph had to say no. And like I said before, never, ever, ever think your life is any harder or someone else's life had it better or easier than what you have. Because even as we look at the course of his life, look how challenging this would have been, that this was. And he had to say, no, not doing it. I'm not doing it. Why? Because what the Most High had promised him was so much greater and so much more valuable to him. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want to go down to verse 12. Let's look at verse 12. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. Verse 13. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. Now watch this. Even here, what is Joseph having to deal with now? Someone lying on him. But you know, many times what will happen is this. We fail to realize that the Most High give us witnesses. He give us what he called forefathers that have gone through things that we're going to have to deal with. And watch how sometimes how we deal with it is we say, you know what, they lie against me, so I'm leaving. They lie against me, so let me go retaliate. They lying against me, so let me go do something against them. But remember, the whole reason that Joseph is having to deal with the things he's having to deal with is one thing, very simple. It's the promise that the Most High has placed on his life that the enemy wants him to abort. And remember this, when you begin to follow the Most High and you see that you're having various attacks against your life, understand it is so much deeper than you as the individual. But it's about the promise that the Most High has placed over your life. But we're not done yet. Let's keep going. Let's go over to the next chapter, chapter 40, and verse 1. Chapter 40, verse 1. Are we there?
Miracles.
Okay, good. Verse 1. And it came to pass, after these things, that the butler... Oh, and before I read this verse, understand this. After Potiphar's wife lied on Joseph, he got thrown into prison, okay? So it would seem as though things got worse for him, okay? So right now he's a prisoner. Verse 1, and it came to pass, after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Verse 2, and Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them inward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. Verse 4, and the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them and continued a season inward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to Yah? Tell me them, I pray you. And watch this, verse 9. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them on Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, and the former matter when thou wast this butler. Now watch this. Joseph tells the butler, interpretations come from where? Yah, right? Okay. Now, since the interpretation came from Yah, and Joseph interpreted the dream, right? He had to hear what who was saying? Yah, right? His father Yah. Now remember, where's Joseph? He's in prison, right? Why is he there? He lied on. So you mean to tell me that the Most High will allow you to get lied on, allow you to be put in prison, and still expect you to serve him? Yes. Amen. Do you mean to tell me that throughout all of this, brothers don't like him, brothers throw him into a pit, he gets sold as a slave, and he still has to hear what the Most High is saying? If you look at yourself, you just begin to analyze the course of your life. Where have you been when things like this happen? Did you hear what the Most High was saying? Can you honestly say that, you know what? When I was getting lied on, I still heard the voice of the Lord telling me to prophesy, or telling me to be a witness, and telling me to encourage other people. And that's what Joseph is having to be right now. I still got it. You mean to tell me I still got to be a witness, even though I keep getting lied on, even though I'm in the jail? And not only that, I got to tell this man that he's getting released, and I don't see my date of release yet. Yes. You mean to tell me that I have to trust the Most High in where I am, even though I know this man has 3 days, and I don't know how many days I have, but he only has 3 days left. And not only that, he's going to get restored to where he's supposed to be. And see, all these things Joseph has to make sure he doesn't give into: the jealousy, the envy, the rage, the anger, the lust, the perversion. All these things Joseph has to say, you know what? I got to trust the Most High anyway, beyond all these things that I feel. Because, you know, Joseph, he could have easily felt what we say some kind of way. He could have easily gotten upset with the Most High. You mean to tell me I got to interpret this guy's dream, and I'm still a prisoner? What about me? And then many times that's where we become. That's where we get. But what about me? What about me? I see this brother right here about to prosper. What about me, though? You got to remember this. The things that the Most High told you is so much greater than you. The things, the situations that you're dealing with, is so much greater than you as an individual. Now watch this. The what about me was already answered a long time ago. The Most High had already given him the promise about him. It was already taken care of. But Joseph had to make sure he did this one thing. I got to keep hearing, what is the Lord telling me? What is he telling me? Because remember, he said, look, the dreams only come from Yah. That's where they only come from. And so for Joseph, he had to make sure, look, I got to hear what Yah is saying. And see, here's the thing. Many times, we may not realize it, but many times the Most High will have you be a blessing to someone else, and many other, not just one person, but many other people have you being a blessing to other people. And you don't realize that because you're being a blessing and encouragement to someone else. You may not realize it now, but some of these same people that the Most High use you to be a blessing to may be some of the same people that come back to you and be a blessing back to you. Because remember, he said this in his word. Whatever a man sows, that's what he shall also reap, right? Now watch this. Joseph had to make sure he didn't become offended. And that's one thing that, we as a people, we got to make sure we're not offended at the Most High. That we're not offended at where he called us to be. Because at this time and season in his life, he was called into prison. He was called, the Most High ordered his steps as a prisoner. That's where he had to be at the time. But he had to make sure I don't get offended because I'm a prisoner. All right, let's keep going. Don't stop there. All right, let's move down to 14. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. Okay? So, in other words, Joseph is saying, all right, when this happens, just remember me. Don't forget. All right? Keep going. For indeed, I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews. And here also have I done nothing that they should put me in the dungeon. You see how he talks about his situation? Do you hear any offense there? Do you hear any offense? Do you hear any anger? No, he's just telling the truth. This is what happened. This is why I'm here. But you know what? Even through this, he had to make sure I forgive my brothers, though. I know they sold me because they hated me, because what the Most High promised me. And I'm here, but I still got to make sure I forgive. Let's keep going. 16, when the chief baker saw the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket, there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh. And the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree. And the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. Now watch this. There were 2 interpretations. One that was favorable and one that was a death sentence. But watch this, what Joseph had to make sure that he still heard what the Most High said and that he wasn't fearing and compromising. Because many times, just if you put yourself in that situation, that predicament, and you got to tell somebody you got 3 days to live, then they're going to kill you because of what you did. You're going to get executed. You understand that had to be a show-enough prophet and a show-enough man that was confident in hearing what the Most High said to him. You got 3 days to live, and that's it. And for him to tell someone that, he had to be confident in what the Most High had told him. Because remember the things that I told you that he had to make sure he didn't give into the lust, the perversion, the unforgiveness, the hatred, the anger, the jealousy, the rage, all these kind of things that he had to make sure that he didn't give. He had to be confident. And for Joseph to stand as a prisoner for all these years and to watch another man leave and then to tell another man that you're going to die and still trust the Most High where he was, he had to be confident in this is what the Most High has said to me, so this is where I stand. And I'm telling you, that means a lot to the Most High to know that you trust him just like that. All right, let's keep going. I want to go, let's go down to verse 21. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief butler, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Verse 23, watch this. It says, Yet did not the chief butler, what? Remember Joseph. But what? Forgot him. Now watch this. It says yet, not yet. He didn't remember him yet. Matter of fact, not only that, but he forgot him. Now watch this. You mean to tell me his brothers don't like him? His brothers sell him. He gets sold into slavery. He does the right thing. He gets lied on. He's a slave. He prophesies good, prophesies what was unfavorable. He did what the Most High said, and now he gets forgotten about. All these things Joseph has to go through in his life before he gets to the things that the Most High promised him. All of this. And you mean to tell me now the Most High ordered my steps to be forgotten about? Really? And see, many times we say, okay, well, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Most High, and then we only think the good stuff. We only think the happy times, or the times where things go in our way and we get what we want. Failing to realize that even the Most High orders you in the time of a test. He orders you in the time to be tested and tried. Yeah, he'll do that. All right, let's keep going. Now notice it said he didn't remember him yet. He forgot. 41. And it came to pass at the end of what? 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed. And behold, he stood by the river. Now, before I move any further, I'm going to tell you this. Remember how the butler had forgotten about Joseph and he didn't remember. Okay? Now watch this. You know how sometimes we say, well, I want this to happen now. I want it now. Okay. Had the butler told Pharaoh about his dream right when he got out, I'm going to tell you this. Pharaoh would not have seen the significance of Joseph. Now, I'm going to show you why in just a second, but just understand this. Had the butler went ahead and told Pharaoh immediately, once he gotten out of jail, look, this man Joseph, he told me I would be here. Pharaoh wouldn't have understood Pharaoh would not have understood Joseph's significance. And one reason I say that is because Pharaoh had people that could interpret dreams. The interpretation of dreams was something Pharaoh was used to. He had that around him. All right, let's keep going. I'll come back to that. Verse 2. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat flesh, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored, lean flesh, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. 6. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a what? Dream. Okay. Verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for who? The magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was what? None that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Now remember, I was saying before, Pharaoh was accustomed to people being able to interpret dreams. So watch this. If the butler would have told Joseph, look, this man told me that I had 3 days left. He told me that after 3 days, on your birthday, you would restore me back to being your butler. Pharaoh would have been like, okay, my magicians could have did that. I got magicians that tell me about dreams. But watch this. Joseph had already told the baker and the butler that interpretation comes from where? The Most High. Now, understand this. Who put this dream inside of Pharaoh? The Most High. That's why the magicians couldn't interpret it. See, you understand that the enemy, he does know certain things, but he don't know everything. And see, the dream that Pharaoh had, the reason why these magicians couldn't interpret it is because he didn't know the Most High's plans. He couldn't understand. The enemy could not understand what the Most High had in store for Egypt, nor for Joseph, nor for everyone else. That's why these magicians could not interpret it. But remember, I was saying before that had the butler immediately told Pharaoh, look, this man said, I'll get out of jail and, this is what happened to me, it would have been like, okay, fine. That's not really a problem to me that someone told you about your dream. But now watch this. Here's a problem that Pharaoh has, and the problem solver named Joseph is going to be introduced to this problem. Now, please understand this. Before Joseph could even get to this stage and this place in his life, he had to overcome all types of adversities, all types of things. Being forgotten about, being, feeling like, okay, nobody understands me, nobody's there for me. He had to make sure he overcame all this and not be bound by it. Because remember, the true interpretation of the dream is only going to come from the Most High. So throughout all of this time, he had to make sure, look, I hear what the Most High is telling me, and I understand what the Most High is telling me. Because here's the thing. Had Joseph been in the wrong place, and had Joseph allowed these things to get into him and, allow the situation to consume him and just only be worried about the situation, when Joseph's time came to interpret this particular dream that Pharaoh was having, he wouldn't be able to hear what the Most High was saying. He would only hear, I'm offended. Mm-hmm. The only thing he would be able to hear is, I'm tired of this. The only thing he would hear is, you forgot about me. But he had to hear what the Most High was going to share with him. Let's keep going. Let's go down to 9. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, saying, I do remember my faults this day. You see that? Mm-hmm. He said, I remember my faults this day. He remembered. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants and put me inward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief butler. And we dreamed a dream in one night. I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. Mm-hmm. There was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, mm-hmm. servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams, to each man according to his dream he did interpret. Mm-hmm. You see right here, at the right time and season, the butler remembered the promise that he was supposed to keep to Joseph. And please understand this. As you follow the Most High, you may find yourself in different parts of Joseph's life where it may seem like, it's over for me. I'm just a slave. I'm just this. I'm not going to work. I don't see a way. But remember this. At the right time, at the right season, the Most High's word, it comes to pass. It'll come to pass in your life. Our responsibility is not to make it come to pass. Our responsibility is make sure, as we've been keep on hearing, our heart is pure. That all the stuff that don't matter, that we don't allow it to be consumed. That we don't allow it to consume us. Because remember, like I said before, Joseph could have easily given in to a lot of these things that were going on in his life that would seem to be negative. And you see, much of Joseph's life, it seemed like it was just negative. Much of it would seem like, it ain't never going to happen. But not so. Not so. Just make sure you continue to hear what the Most High is saying to you. And make sure you continue to say what the Most High is telling you to say. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to go down to... Actually, yeah. No, I'm not going any further. But you can continue to read that on your own about Joseph's life and his story. And essentially what happens is he becomes second in charge next to Pharaoh. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, but it works this way. Joseph's life, like I told you before, was so much greater than him. Joseph's life was so much greater. Like the testings and the trials was so much greater than him. The persecution that he had to go through, it was so much greater. Because as you read Joseph's story, and you can read that on your own, as you read through his story, not only did he save himself, not only did he save Egypt, he saved other nations around him. He saved his own people. But watch this. Had Joseph forsaken what the Most High had given him, had Joseph chose to compromise, had Joseph chose to say, you know what, you forgot about me, I'm not going to forgive. You sold me, so I don't care anything about you. Had he done these things, the Most High wouldn't have been able to use him like he wanted to. And the same thing is with us. All you guys listening on the social media, even here, you choose to follow the Most High, he put great promises on your life. That's so much greater than you as an individual. But I challenge you this. Understanding that, no, it ain't going to be easy. Following the Most High is never going to be easy. But the thing about it is this. He makes sure that all the things that you got to deal with, he calls it to work together for your good. All you guys in here, you're special. All you guys, if you're listening by way of social media, if you choose to follow the Most High, you got great promise on your life, but don't forsake it. The Most High calling us to let go things in the past, things of childhood, like Joseph had to let go, just let go of it. Things on the job may not always go your way, just let go of it. Whether you may have been lied on, just let go. Because it's so much greater. Your life is so much greater than you as an individual. And always remember this. Make sure you hear what the Most High is saying to you about your situations. All right, and today, if you're listening by way of social media and you haven't made the choice to follow the Most High, or maybe you were once following and chose to stop following, maybe you have gotten discouraged. Well, today we're going to give you the opportunity and share with you the opportunity to make sure that your life follows what the Most High has told you to follow. And it's real simple. Just repent and choose to follow. And if you're ready to make that decision, all you have to do is ask the Most High to forgive you, ask him to lead and guide you in all truth, and he'll do it. And the next thing you want to do is to get a Bible. Good place to start is in Genesis. You We start in Genesis, we go all the way down to Revelation. The reason why you want to start in Genesis, you got to teach you about the beginning of who the Most High is and who the Most High has called his people to be. Also, you want to get in the church that can help you grow to develop as a servant of the Most High. We're here in Douglasville, Georgia, the Salt and Light Church. If you're in the area, love to help you, love to see you out. If you're not in the area, or if you need help to get a Bible, give us a call. Love to provide you with a Bible and assist you in finding a place where you can grow and attend church. The vision of the Salt and Light Church is to see mankind become productive in every area of their life so that we, the body of Christ, may have a positive effect on our society through YAHSHUA.